Yo. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Today is October 25th, 2022. This is Casted with Chris, presented by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. Daily, I come on this show at 7 a.m. and I give out plays. We go through and handicap the games. I give you guys a recap of what happened yesterday as far as official plays that I've put in already, trying to beat some of the lines. And that stuff is important. It's so important, man. I talked about it yesterday after the show on the NBA Crispy Captain show that I do at 5:15 Eastern time. Um, I talked about the Pacers line opening up versus 76ers at 226, and it went up to 227, and then of course it got steamed up after that as well. And the 226 got a push, but if you took 227 like I did, and I gave it out in the later show, you did not get a push. You got a loss, a big fat L. So it's important to get these lines, early, and we're gonna talk about that. Just looking back at yesterday, official plays. I went 1-0. I gave out official plays on the Casted with Chris morning show. I went 1-0. I gave out uh, Tyrese Halliburton over 8.5 assists, and I think he had 7 or 8 at halftime, so that looked really good. He ended up cashing, but he didn't do a lot. He only finished with 10. In the second half of that game, he became more of a scorer. And Philly actually played I'm not gonna say Philly played a little defense. I'll say the Pacers missed some makeable shots, some shots that they probably should have made yesterday. So yeah, that didn't cash. Our official on the show, on the morning show, I went 1-0. On the evening show, I went 0-2. So I gave out the total over 227. And like I said, it landed at 226. So, really, really bad beat in that one. Maxey had 8 points. Forgot exactly what he shot, but a point here or there, and we go over a bunch of missed shots in that game. And shout out to the odds makers. They definitely got that one right. But I talked about the big trend. 30 of 43 games without Miles Turner since the start of last season had went over. So the over was actually hitting at a 70% rate in those games. So that's what you consider a bad beat, right? The research is there. You just got to hop on those lines, immediately, so you can at least get the push before it starts to go up. And I should have probably played it officially when I first saw the number. So that's that. Let's see what else I got. I'm gonna do like 2 more minutes for a recap. So Toronto beat Miami yesterday. Fred VanVleet looked good in that game. Without Scotty Barnes, I talked about taking the over. I talked about taking the under. That game didn't even get to 100. Neither team got to 100 points in that one. Just zigzag theory. I also talked about taking Toronto. I didn't do it. Scotty Barnes was on the injury report. He didn't play. But Toronto stepped up and got it done. Miami, I think, is still a shell of themselves. The Knicks beat Orlando, end up covering that 7.5 point spread. Man, the Knicks look good. They look good. I know Orlando isn't the greatest team, but they look pretty good. Boston jumped out on Chicago early, and then Chicago kind of turned it around. I think I was looking at the game in the first quarter. Boston had 32 points with 4 minutes left, and I said, "Oh my God, they're gonna mop Chicago." Chicago picked up the defense. Vucevic had a really good game. We know Boston struggles to rebound the ball without Robert Williams, as they struggle a little bit more without Robert Williams to rebound the ball. So yeah, that Chicago ended up beating Boston by 18 points. We knew it was only a matter of time before Boston was due to have some kind of regression, and yesterday was it. Missoula got through out of that game for a very questionable call. But it is what it is. Houston picked up their first win against Utah. Real bad spot for Utah yesterday, and Houston got that win by 6. They were 2-point dogs when the game closed, and 1-point favorites when it opened. And then I gave out the Brooklyn Nets yesterday. Man, never will I do that again for the foreseeable future. And I talked about taking the over. This game, Memphis scored, it seemed like, every single time they got the ball. Brooklyn's defense was non-existent. Still trying to figure out how they can be effective with Ben Simmons on the floor, especially in games that have a really fast pace, where the team can score the ball. I thought that Memphis didn't have enough firepower, but I was wrong. Clearly I was wrong. Desmond Bane went absolutely bananas. Ja Morant and company. Yeah, Santi went off yesterday. It was bad. It was bad. Brooklyn's defense looks really, really terrible. They get bullied on the inside as far as rebounding, as far as second chance points. Can't bet on Brooklyn. Brooklyn's not a bet on team. Anytime you're giving up 134 points, and it's not the second night of a back-to-back, you can't be bet on. You can't be bet on until you show me something different. So done with them. San Antonio actually came in and upset Minnesota. I think that might have been the biggest upset of the night. Beat them 115-106, and we talked about that being a bad spot for Minnesota yesterday. Bad travel spot for Minnesota. And then we saw Denver, second night of a back-to-back. I think a 3rd and 4 for them as well. Come home and absolutely wash we saw Portland come home and wash Denver. Denver was actually the more rested team. Portland was traveling from LA. They had a matinee spot on Sunday. Absolutely mollywopped Denver in the second half. Denver actually looked good in the first half. They were up by probably as many as 10, 12 points, but Jokic didn't play well. In the third quarter, you really saw Anthony Simons turn it on. I know he had like a 20-point third quarter. I was watching it last night. Might have been more than 20. And then Dame took over late. They ended up winning by 25. So that's a quick recap of yesterday. 1-2 overall, so not the greatest day yet again, but 1-0 on the Cash Day with Chris morning show. So let's get into today's slate. And I appreciate you guys for being here in the comment section. Akbar, I see you here, bro. Appreciate you. DJ Prop said, good morning. We back. Jokic did me so dirty last night. Yeah, Jokic didn't show up last night. He was playing like he was injured or something. I don't know, like it's like Nurkic paid him not to do well or something. I don't know what it was. LJ, appreciate you being here. Top of the morning, bro. Miss Halliburton over 19.5 points by half. Yeah, the lines get sharper, you guys. I know you guys know that, but the lines get sharper. The more data they have, the better they can. The more games they have, the sharper the lines are going to be, which is why it's really important for us to attack those markets early. But yeah, LJ, yeah, for sure. I know a couple people who miss Halliburton over 19.5, and that's why that's why the books put it at 20 instead of 18.5. So Spurs 3 straight road wins. Timberwolves should roll them Wednesday. I will be looking for that, LJ, for sure. It'll be a get back game for sure, revenge game. I think they probably smack them up pretty bad in that one. So we'll see what that looks like. At least if they don't, I expect a big bounce back game from what's the kid's name? He had a bad game last night. Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards should have a bounce back game. He did not play well in that game at all. But yeah, let's regroup and get it back together. Mathurin over 17.5 at 17. Yeah, I talked about standoff Mathurin first road game. Could he got over there? Yeah, but he eventually he has to regress, and not even regression. I mean, the kid hasn't scored less than 20 points in any NBA game. And he's only 4 games in. So if he has 17, that I don't even think that's a bad look. So like I said, the more games, the sharper the books are going to be. But moving along, man, let's get into today's slate. So that was a quick recap of what happened yesterday. Let's talk about today. We only have 1, 2, 3. We got 4 games today. We're going to start right up the street from me in DC. Let's go to the Capitol. We got the Pistons coming into DC. The Wizards are laying 5 points. Total opened at 223. It's come down to 222 at some places. I see a 222.5. I still see some 223s. I like the under in this game. Nothing official for me yet, but I think I might get there with the under. So what I got for you guys, I got Detroit coming in off 2 days rest, 2 road losses after starting the season. With a win against Orlando, they got beat by 9 points by Indiana and 24 points by the Knicks last week. This is the first night of a back-to-back for them. They have a home road back-to-back tomorrow where they a road home back-to-back. So they'll be in DC tonight, and then they'll go home to host Atlanta tomorrow. Atlanta will probably be turned up for that game, especially after losing a shorthanded Charlotte team on Sunday. So that'll be a spot that you probably want to take Atlanta. Probably early in that game too. So gotta get to that one too. Opposite side, you get the Wizards coming in here. They're 2-1. They've alternated between home road so far in the first 4 games, which can be like uncomfortable, I think, for players to kind of get into a groove when you're constantly flying out, constantly coming back home. They come into this game with a 7-point win versus I'm sorry. They come into the game with a 7-point win versus Indiana to start the season. Then they had a 2-point win against Chicago, and then a 10-point loss in overtime to Cleveland on Sunday, which they actually played Cleveland pretty well. Overtime, they couldn't hit any shots, which doesn't really surprise me. The Wizards always kind of struggle to score. And they turned the ball over in overtime and lost that game. The Pistons are also 7-1 in the last 8 games in DC, ATS wise, right? So I thought that was interesting, although the Wizards actually own them straight up. So the Wizards have won 5 straight versus Detroit, and 7 of the last 9 games straight up. ATS, both teams are 3-3 over the last 6 games. So I think that's why you get a spread at 5, because both of these teams have played each other pretty closely over the last year, right? Last 6 games over the last year. So injury wise, Corey Kispert is questionable with an ankle injury. Not sure if he's going to play in this game or not. And then I also wanted to mention that the under in this spot, like I said, I'm already looking towards the under. I think the Wizards win games with defense. They haven't really given up a lot of points at all. Every single one of their games so far, I think, has gone under this total. If you take away overtime of the Cleveland game on Sunday, so the under is 7-1 in the last 8 meetings in Washington. Detroit has looked bad defensively, and I talked about this at the beginning of the season. Without them having Marvin Bagley the third, they're allowing the 5th most points per game, and also allowing teams to shoot at the 5th highest percentage from 3. Teams are shooting 40% from 3, and when you lose to the Pacers, it's all bad. I know that was the second night of a back-to-back, but it's all bad when you're out here losing to the Pacers and giving up 124 points. It kind of makes me think that the Wizards can get whatever they want, which is why I don't necessarily want to lock that under in, but that's how I'll be looking at this game. I also think the Wizards can win by 5. I do. Have they proven, to be a team that can be consistent offensively? No. And that's one of the things that scare me, is their inability to be able to score when they need timely buckets. But I did lock in a prop. I actually put this in early this morning, so I wanted to share this with you guys as well. I'm on Jaden Ivey today. Jaden Ivey over. I took his PRA because he's a little scattered with his stats, which, most rookies are going to be in their first week and a half in the NBA. But the guy gets so much playing time, and he's actually went over. So he's played at least 29 minutes in each of the first 3 games. I checked the numbers, and Jaden Ivey actually is third on the team in minutes. He's third on the team in shot attempts as well, behind I think Cade and Bogdanovich. The Pistons are also playing a lot faster than they did last season. I looked it up. They were like 10th in pace this year, trying to get out and run in transition to get easy baskets. And like I said, Ivy has already cleared this number in all 3 games so far. He's a guy that can rebound the ball. He can shoot the 3. He can score the ball in a bunch of different ways as well. And the lowest amount of PRAs that he's had so far has been 26. He's also went for 30 and 32. So you can get the line right now at 23.5. I locked it in at -115. So that's a show play that I do want to give out. It's Jaden Ivey over 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I like that look a lot. Let me see what you guys saying in the YouTube chat before we move on to the next game. What's up from Prolific? What up, Prolific? Wizards first half. LJ said he on that. Bradley Beal 22 points. Kuzma lied at 30. Okay. Kuzma, I think, does play well against Detroit. I need to look into that. I think Kuzma does play well against Detroit. And he might have hit a game winner against them last year. Not 100% sure. Moving right along, though. Let's get into the next game. I don't want to spend too long on that game. Mavs and the Pelicanos, which I don't have a banner for. Not sure why I don't have a banner for that game. But the Mavs will be coming in here to New Orleans. They come in 1-1 straight up, 2-0 ATS. They did lose that first game against the Phoenix Suns after actually jumping out on them having a lead. And then, of course, they come home and they play against a Memphis team, smack them up, beat them by 41 on Saturday. They have Brooklyn on deck for Thursday. The Pelicans, they come into this game 2-1 straight up and ATS. They let their guard down on Sunday. in that 1 point loss in overtime. They lost 122 to 121. I was on the wrong side of that game because I was on the Pelicans first quarter, first half. And that was a 2-unit play for me on the first quarter, just thinking that the Pelicans being at home would come out. But Utah got some fight, man. They're not going to roll over. And they lost that game. So this is the second game of a 2-game homestand before New Orleans goes on a road trip that'll consist of Phoenix and the Clippers and the Lakers. So they'll be going out west after this home game today. So in that game against Utah on Sunday, we saw Brandon Ingram leave the game. He was diagnosed with a concussion yesterday evening. Zion also went down after taking. He actually left the game. Brandon Ingram only played in the first, I think, 10 minutes in the first quarter. Zion Williamson got hurt in that game as well, trying to cock back to do a dunk, and Jordan Clarkson actually blocked it all ball, and he landed on his back pretty hard. Was diagnosed with I think it's some kind of contusion, just kind of a back bruise. He didn't come back into that game and didn't play in overtime as well. Ingram's already been ruled out. Herb Jones is also questionable in this game as well, and so is Zion. So man, this is a tough game to cap. So, and because I don't have the banner, I apologize for not having that. There is so the spread in this one opened at 4.5. The total opened at 2. It actually opened at 4 in favor of Dallas. Some money's come in on Dallas already, which has pushed the spread to 4.5. New Orleans it will be shorthanded today. And typically the shorthanded theory, especially after a loss, is you want to back that team, right? We know that the Pelicans are a really good team. They have, really long athletic wing defenders. But if they're going to be, with Zion questionable and Brandon Ingram out, it makes it a tough game. Put it like that. It makes it a really tough game. What I wanted to tell you guys about this game is that Dallas is 5-2 straight up and 5-2 ATS in their last 7 head-to-head games with the New Orleans Pelicans. Dallas is also won and covered the last 2 games in New Orleans, and the Mavs are also 5-1 ATS in New Orleans in the last 6 games, right? So they typically travel well to New Orleans when they go down there. They're also the more rested team. I like Dallas in this spot, man. I haven't played it yet, but I do think that, just the way that the recipe that Utah used is, they to beat New Orleans is they spread the floor. I talked about this yesterday. They spread the floor. They get a bunch of 3-point shooters. You kind of play Valanciunas off the floor and force Coach Willie Green to have to put Larry Nance in, which he's not as great offensively as Valanciunas, and he's not going to rebound the ball as well. And I think Dallas has a recipe to be able to do that, right? You bring in a guy like Christian Wood off the bench, which I think he's a pretty difficult matchup for guys like Valanciunas to be able to guard because he can stretch the floor. And if Valanciunas isn't dominating the rebounds, then he's not as efficient and as effective for New Orleans, right? And we know that also I watched that game the other day against Utah, and if you don't have Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum at the helm of the offense, they don't. I mean, guys like Najee Marshall and Alvarado, they can make timely shots, but they struggle to score from the outside. Put it like that. Especially if you're not having a guy like Herb Jones that's going to be primarily going to be the primary defender on somebody like Luka. I think Luka gets whatever he wants in this game. I'll probably be looking at Luka points prop. I didn't write that down, but I'll probably look at Luka. Anytime you see a spread, that's 5 or less. In a game that you think is going to be pretty competitive, especially with Luka having to go on the road, it makes me want to look towards, taking Luka points. And that's probably what I should have took last night was KD points. I was thinking about that last night after I locked in Brooklyn plus the 1.5. Just taking KD points. That way I don't have to worry about them actually winning the game, even though I thought that they would win the game. But taking KD points cashed in the third quarter. So I'll probably look at Luka points. I think they don't have a guy that can defend him if Herb Jones doesn't play in this game, especially with Brandon Ingram being out as well. So that's kind of my thoughts, and hopefully that helps you guys over there. We 20 minutes in, so let me we got the Clippers and the OKC, and we got Golden State and Phoenix. I'm gonna try to get to one more of these games before we wrap it up. Which I got on this game. Let's see. VNL Trucker said Jaden Ivey is a good look. Yeah, I like Ivey a lot. I like Ivey a lot. You guys say you like the Ivey play. Yeah, let's get on the Ivey play. Bradley Beal points over. Javi, I think Bradley Beal could go over. I just feel like Washington has a lot of scores with him, and of course they have guys like Porzingis, Kuzma could go off. So I'm not really looking to take Bradley Beal points over, but if you can find enough information, it's projected to be a close game, and we know Bradley Beal could go off at any time. They just gave a guy like $500 million, so I mean he should be scoring a lot of points, and he looked good against Cleveland the other day. So I couldn't talk you off. Good morning, hit the like button. I appreciate that, Sean, for sure. Definitely hit the like button if you guys are watching over on YouTube. Share the show with people trying to make some NBA money and get to these early lines. I appreciate you guys for being here. 52 people over here early morning. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Whether you're making coffee, getting your kids ready for school, you already got to work already. Some people probably 5 hours in. Somebody probably going to sleep already. Appreciate you guys, man. So we getting a Luka 40-piece nugget. It could be Escobar. It could be a Luka 40-point nugget tonight. Role players usually ball when the stars are out, might go over. Yeah, I can see that. Good luck on the injury report. I like Dallas tonight. Yeah, I was looking at Dallas, but like I said, I don't know. You guys got to tap in with me at 5:15 when we get more information. Specifically, hopefully we know something about Herb Jones playing. Luka PRAs as well. That's a good look. Bogdanovich threes, I can see it. I can see Bogdanovich threes tonight. Mavs first half and Luka 30. I can see that as well. I could definitely see that as well. I think when the Mavs play well, they typically come out and dominate the first quarter. They are the more rested team. They are the healthier team as well. All right, so moving right along, let's get into at least one more game real quick before I get out of here. And then, of course, tap back in with me later, 5:15 Eastern time. I'm doing 2 shows a day, every single day. Let's go to the Clippers and the Thunder, because I got to look at this one. It's actually not posted yet, but I'm gonna give y'all some spicy info early in this one. So, and then I probably won't touch on Golden State just for time purposes. Golden State does play Phoenix tonight. But let's go to the Clippers. So I didn't put a total up if you guys are watching on YouTube, because total actually didn't come out last night when I had made this banner. It opened at 219.5, and it's already being steamed towards the under 217, and that's a good look. That's a really good look. I hadn't really capped this game for the total at all, but I like that. I like the total going down in this one. We know that the Clippers win games with defense. The Thunder will be without a lot of guys that they typically rely on to score points. So I think it's probably still value on the under in this spot. So let's talk about the game. Opened at 10 in favor of the Clippers. It's come down to 9.5. I see 2 9.5s. I actually see a 9. And what I got for you guys in this one, real quick. I need to make this quick. So the Clippers come off a 17-point loss to Phoenix at home on Sunday after starting the season 2-0. With wins against the Kings and the Lakers. This is a third game in 4 nights and a fourth and sixth night for the Clippers, so I'm not looking to back them. That's just a bad travel spot. OKC comes into this game on their third game in 4 nights as well, and off 3 straight losses. They did cover the first 2 losses to Minnesota and Denver, but they failed to cover, but only by 1 point to the Timberwolves in their third game. OKC is also not only covered, but won both games outright. The last 2 home games at a 5.5-point dog and a 13-point dog last season against this same Clipper team. Now, of course, the Clippers didn't have Kawhi Leonard in that game, in those games, and Paul George, but they'll be shorthanded again tonight, right? The Clippers did have a 50-point win against the OKC Thunder last year in LA. But if you exclude that game, the OKC, well, even with that game, the OKC is covered 4 of the last 5, no matter the site. So, but if you throw that one out as an outlier, OKC has covered 4 of the last 4. But even with that game, they've covered 4 of the last 5. So I think that's why some money's coming in on OKC. Man, it's tough to play this game though. The Clippers are only 2-8 ATS in their last 10 meetings in OKC. So they don't travel well to OKC. OKC typically covers these games as dogs. I think it was something like, I looked it up already. There's something like 67% of games where they're the dog of more than 10 points they cover. And I'll have that stat later for you guys if you tune into the evening show. PG has already been ruled out with an illness in this game. Morris is ruled out for personal reasons. Josh Giddey is out in this game, which makes me want to stay away. And SGA is also ruled out. So I don't know where the offense comes from. That's probably why I'm going to get on the under in this spot, because Josh Giddey and SGA make up so much of that team. OKC also ranks 28th in field goal percentage. They are 27th in three-point percentage. The Clippers have been winning games with defense. They're ranked 5th in opponent field goal percentage and 7th in three-point percentage. And OKC also ranks 28th in rebounding. So what I was looking at in this game, besides the under now that glaringly just popped out to me, is rebounds, right? So they're going to be without the 70s. So I talked about OKC being 28th in rebounders. We've already seen guys like Rudy Gobert go for 23 plus rebounds. I'm gonna be looking at Zubac rebounds. The line hasn't dropped yet. I haven't seen it on any of my books, but I'm gonna be heavily looking at Zubac rebounds. It might be a ladder spot for Zubac rebounds tonight. He's averaging, I think, 11 already. The books will probably set him at about 11, 10 and a half. I think it's an absolute smash spot for his rebounds because you're already without PG, who's second on this team in rebounding. And the Thunder just don't have – they got Pokusevski down there, but they don't have a lot of rebounds. I'm also going to be looking at guys like Norman Powell and Kawhi because they average the most rebound opportunities for the Clippers. And we'll see what Kawhi minutes looks like. I know that Coach Ty Lue hasn't played him, significant minutes. But, yeah, man, I'm actually overtime. I'm 27 minutes in. Official for me, just to recap, like I said, I took Jaden Ivey over 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists, minus 115. I would lock that in. I think some steam probably comes to that. It might get to 24.5, or you might just get worse odds throughout the day. Only official play for me. I'll probably end up having a couple more throughout the day, but be sure to tune in later. Crispy Cap and NBA show, 5:15 Eastern time. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Hit the like button over on YouTube for me. You guys enjoy your day and tap back in with me later, man. I'm out.